Okay, I just thought I'd do a quick YouTube video regarding a 2006 CBF1000. I think the title was, "Is a 2006 CBF1000 any good in 2025? Not quite in 2025 yet, but we're nearly there. This thing's this new Hornet, which I'm going to talk about as well, the Hornet 1000, isn't in the showrooms on probably until next year, 2025. But if Honda can relaunch the Hornet with the Fireblade engine in, which is an old one, then maybe this old CBF1000 is still a good bike. But first of all, I'd like to say thank you to all the other people that do these videos. We watch On the Road. I think they're in Thailand, I think, at the moment. Two Wheel Dreamer, and he has done a couple of trips recently. Travels on my motorbike. Richie Vida's done one or two. A few guys up in Yorkshire way, which I think Bankrupt Pensioner and Bingley Wheel. There's a few of the grumpy Yorkshiremen that do a few of these small videos. Just like to say thank you to all those people that do things like this. And I don't think until you do something like this, realise how difficult it is to make such a small video. And I'm just sat down in the garage on my third attempt to try and put something together which is half decent, and it just makes you realise how really difficult it is to put a video together. Just 10-minute video, how difficult it really is. I'm on a little action camera. I've managed to cobble together some kind of microphone for it. I don't particularly want to do any editing on any editing suites, so hopefully this will just be reasonable, that I can just upload to YouTube and that'll be the end of it. So yeah, the 2006 CBF1000 that we have, that we bought in 2019, just before COVID hit. We bought it because Karen hadn't ridden on the back of a bike before, my partner Karen, and I wanted something to give it a whirl and see if she would actually enjoy it. So after looking around for quite a while, we bumped into a chap at Hunt's Motorcycles in Manchester, near where we used to live, and he was sat on a white one, and we asked him a couple of questions about it, and he said it was brilliant. He said he thought it was a really good bike. And the main couple of good reasons we went for the bike was it was powerful enough at 95 brake horse, if I didn't mention that already. You could do a bit of touring on it. 1000cc, I'd say, so it's a big enough bike. It was cheap to insure, which was another good point at the time. It has ABS, which has got to be a good thing, I think, on a bike. And it has the Honda ignition security system, where the ignition key is coded, so without the key you can't start the bike. So we thought this might be a reasonably good bike to go for. And I say tied into that was the fact that it was a little bit under the radar too. It's not the kind of bike that would attract thieves. And in Manchester at the time, and I think it's still the case now, motorbike theft was absolutely massive, and I did not want a bike that would attract any attention at all. And this fitted the bill, I think. I mean, Two Wheel Dreamer, I think, experienced a theft of his motorbike in France. Riem, I think he was in, and I think two other people have had bikes stolen from there too. So yeah, another reason for a dowdy old bike was the fact that hopefully it wouldn't draw any attention. So we picked the bike up in 2019 from Superbike factory, which had just moved then to its new place in Macclesfield, and unfortunately COVID hit, and not long afterwards, so we didn't really get much chance to use the bike, although we did use it during the lockdowns where it was allowed. We did actually enjoy the bike and actually went out on it as much as we could. As COVID restrictions were lifted, we went up to Squires for the weekend. I had some old thrower panniers from my previous motorcycle, so we put a cheap top box on the bike, dug my old panniers out, loaded the bike up with the tent, and Karen and myself shooted up from Manchester to Squires for the weekend. It was the first weekend it was open after COVID, and we had a wonderful 2 days up there. The weather was pretty good on the whole, and we had a wonderful couple of days just relaxing, a couple of beers because we didn't have to go anywhere once we were up there. And that's how we started off with this old bike in 2019, with the full intention of possibly upgrading it in the future. But with COVID hitting, and we moved to Cornwall just after the lockdowns was lifted too, we didn't really get much chance to change the bike. Dealerships were struggling to get new ones, second-hand ones were selling like hotcakes. So we thought, well, you know, this is 2021, 22, 23. It was just a pain in the bum. We thought, well, we'll just keep what we've got. Why spend 15,000, 20,000 pound on a bike when this does almost a similar thing? And because it's a little bit of an old bike, it's just off the radar, you know. So yeah, we've used this bike to scoot all around near where we live, down in Cornwall. We nip to Plymouth, or we nip to the coast. We do Tavistock or Calstock. We on the bike all the time, both of us. Usually with the top box on, and it's been a good bike. Couple of things you will want to, if you do get one of these bikes, there's a few things that you probably will want to do. The fender extender on the front is worthwhile. The rear hugger on the back is worthwhile. The swing arm on this got a bit rusty, and I thought, well, I'm not going to just repaint it because I'll be doing the same again in 2 years' time. So we had that powder coated for about 50 quid, I think it was at the time. I just rebuilt the swing arm, and it was in pretty good nick, to be honest with you, with just a little bit of rust, but I stripped it down, checked the bearings. It was in pretty good nick. All I had it done was powder coated and reassembled it, and we were back where we started with it, and it looks quite decent. The fork legs got a bit, they got a little bit pitted as well. So I rebuilt the forks on it a couple of years ago and put new fluid in and bushes, and that made a massive difference as well. So, and the stator had been changed on it before we bought it, but again I check the stator every service, take the cover off, have a look, make sure that's okay, and just make sure you've got spare keys, because if you lose the ignition key, you can't get any more done. If you've lost the only one you've got, then you have to change the ECU. So we got a couple cut when we got the bike, and that's it really. Fender extender, hugger, swing arm, stator, and that's it. You're good to go. Fork, recondition the forks anyway, which you should do on a bike this age. And that's it. That's pretty much all we've done. I've put some rentals on with some bar risers to make it more comfy, and that's where we are with it. And with the Honda Hornet being announced, which has got the old Fireblade engine in, I thought, well, you know, it's not that dissimilar to what we've got here. Okay, it's a bit newer, it'll be a bit lighter, but it's also going to be £10,000 or so, and probably something somebody's going to want to steal. So that's how we ended up, again, keeping this bike. We went down to the south of Germany on the bike earlier this year in summer. We spent 2 weeks on the road. We got down as far as Bingen on the Rhine. I think they call it the romantic route down at the bottom. And we had a couple of 7-hour stints in the saddle. And you know what? We were okay. We didn't feel tired. Karen was okay on the back. We didn't intend to do 7 hours in the saddle. We got caught out with a couple of storms that we just wanted to avoid, which meant that for 2 days we had to just sort of get on with it a little bit and get out of the way. So yeah, so in this year, this bike has took us all the way down to the south of Germany and back again. So what can you say? It does everything that we need to do. This is the Mark 1. They do a Mark 2, which is probably the one to go for. When we bought this one, the Mark 2 was considerably more expensive. We paid £1,900 for this bike, delivered from the Superbike factory, which wasn't too bad, to be honest with you, and it was in okay condition. I probably would get the Mark 2 if I was going to replace it today. I think it's worth the extra little bit of money because they've come down in price a little bit. So yeah, this 2006 CBF1000 I still think is a decent bike in 2025. So many new bikes are coming out at the moment. KTM are another story that's developing where, you know, a bit of a sign of things to come, I think, with motorcycle industry. All these new bikes are going to come out, and I've got to be honest, I don't know who's going to buy them. We've lost a couple of dealerships near us in Plymouth. Triumph Motorcycles and Harley Davidson have just closed. So at the moment we're going to stick just for now with what we've got. In light of the fact that bike prices have gone ridiculous, I mean £15,000 to £20,000 on a motorcycle I just think is ridiculous. The servicing costs are ridiculous. And I'm just thinking, you know, we own this, we bought it cash, and I think I'll just stick with what we've got. Motorcycle prices are falling through the floor, and with all the PCP deals that are currently around, most people don't own those bikes anyway, and then in 3 years' time to 4 years' time they hand them back. And if no one's going to buy them, then what are they going to be worth in a year's time or 2 years' time, you know? So I do not want to stick 15 to 20 grand in a motorcycle at the moment, at all. It's old technology, so, you know, you can keep this running from, and it sounds an awful thing to say, but scrap yards. So you can keep it running from scrap yards. There's plenty of spares available for it. There's bits and pieces. You don't need to plug it into a computer particularly. Again, coming back to KTM, if you've bought a KTM or you're about to buy one and things don't work out for KTM next year, well, where does that leave you with your 4-year warranty and a motorcycle that you pretty much need to go back to the manufacturer for servicing and things like that? So I think at this point in time, this 2006 bike is worth keeping. And for anybody that's looking for a bike, then, you know, there's plenty of good 10-year-old bikes around. You don't need to buy a new one. Yes, dealers have to keep going, I understand that, but it's not my job as a motorcyclist, biker, to keep companies afloat. You know, when did people want to buy new motorbikes? Where did this come from? You know, you buy an old bike and you enjoy riding it, or you enjoy meeting up with your friends, you enjoy going to rallies, motorbike rallies, you enjoy the camaraderie of things. You don't need a new bike for that. You know, it's become very fashionable to buy new bikes. They're more of a fashion accessory than a sort of a culture, if you like. The culture was never about buying a brand new motorbike and bloody getting out of the garage once a week and riding it down a couple of miles and let everybody look at it. Who gives a crap? If you go somewhere and all they want to look at is your bike and not talk to you, well, you know, don't know. So yeah, so biking should be about enjoying the company, enjoying the camaraderie, enjoying a little bit of travel, not doing long distances, just travel enough to get you where you want to go, so you can park the bike up, hopefully talk to some like-minded people, have a few laughs. I mean, when we did our Germany trip, we met a cracking German couple. They just happened to be staying in the hotel. We got talking about motorbikes just because he enjoyed riding them. And when we told him that we had an old CBF1000 in the garage under the hotel, it was great. We went had a few pints and we had a few laughs, and even though we couldn't really communicate very well, we did enough to have a good few hours having a few beers. Two like-minded bikers, him and his missus, and Karen and myself. So yes, you don't need a brand new bike to enjoy biking. In fact, I would say quite the opposite. If all you want to do is show off with a shiny new bike, then it's not the kind of bike. You're a motorcyclist, you're not a biker. So yeah, that's my little 10-minute stint really, wanting to thank other YouTubers for doing what they're doing, which is very difficult, and until you try and do a small video, like I've tried to do, I don't think you realise how hard it is to cobble something together. So yeah, thanking the people that do the videos, and they do it because they want to share their experiences. And Karen and myself love watching the YouTube videos that people do. I think they're fantastic. I can see how expensive it is for them to buy all the equipment, and I can see how much time it would take for them to do what they do, and it's amazing what they do and how much effort they must put into that. So if they can make a couple of quid along the way, I think that's fantastic, because it is a very time consuming and potentially expensive thing to do. I've cobbled something together here out of bits and pieces. I did look at buying some YouTube stuff, but the figures were eye-watering, absolutely bloody eye-watering. So I'm just doing this. It's not on my mobile phone. I tried that, it didn't work. It's just on an old action camera with a cobbled together microphone in the garage, and I'm sure you can hear people outside milling around. So yeah, so that's where we are really. Thanks to all the people that do the videos. I think a 2006 CBF1000 or any other bike that's 10 years old ish, 15, if it's looked after and well maintained and you can do it yourself, is worth keeping or buying. You don't need a brand new shiny motorcycle out of the showrooms. And the Honda Hornet 1000 is really, shouldn't say it really, but it's just an old Honda 5-blade engine stuck in a new frame, which is just what they did with this thing in 2006. So yeah, we'll see if it turns out. I'll pop it up onto YouTube, and that's it really. Nothing else to tell you other than, you know, why we bought the bike and why we've still kept it, and why probably this year we'll keep it a little bit longer until we see what's going on with the motorcycle market in general. So yeah, we'll upload this and see how it goes. Okay, thank you.